Have you ever boarded a plane and felt that twinge of nervousness? That tiny thought in the back of your mind whispering, "What if something goes wrong?" Now, imagine that thought lingering longer than it should, years after a major crisis has been resolved. That's exactly what's happening with the Boeing 737 MAX, even as we move through 2026. Before we dive in, if you're curious about aviation, safety, and the human stories behind the headlines, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Trust me, this story isn't just about planes. It's about trust, fear, and the very real consequences when technology fails. The Boeing 737 MAX should have been a triumph. A modern, fuel-efficient workhorse designed to replace older models and keep airlines profitable, while passengers enjoyed a quieter, smoother flight. But instead, it became the center of one of the most terrifying and costly aviation crises of the 21st century. You may remember the headlines: Lion Air, Ethiopian Airlines, 2 fatal crashes that killed 346 people in total. Families shattered, careers questioned, and a company forced to confront the unimaginable. Their aircraft, their pride, their reputation had betrayed the public. The root cause was traced back to the MCAS system, the Maneuvering Characteristics Augmentation System, a software designed to prevent stalls, to help pilots keep control. But it was flawed, and in a perfect storm of sensor errors and pilot confusion, it pushed planes down instead of helping them fly safely. After the grounding of the MAX fleet in 2019, Boeing promised fixes: software upgrades, new pilot training protocols, stricter regulations. Airlines slowly brought planes back into service, and reports suggested that, technically, the aircraft was now as safe or safer than its predecessors. But here's the thing: technical safety doesn't always erase fear. Even today, in 2026, a quiet panic simmers among passengers. Surveys show that a significant percentage of flyers actively avoid the 737 MAX when booking flights. They trust Boeing, they trust regulators, but somewhere deep in the human psyche, that memory of catastrophe lingers. A memory of an aircraft that killed hundreds, an airline that defended itself publicly while privately scrambling to fix things, and a world watching in horror as tragedy unfolded on live news feeds. For pilots, the story is even more complicated. Many feel anxious, not because the plane is inherently unsafe now, but because they know the history. Flying is a job rooted in precision, in trust, in confidence. Even the smallest doubt can weigh heavily on someone responsible for dozens of lives at 35,000 feet. Some pilots have shared off the record that the MAX still feels different in certain scenarios. Not dangerous, but different enough to trigger hesitation. Airline executives face a balancing act too. They know the aircraft is profitable, they know it's certified and safe. But every time a passenger refuses to board, or every time a viral video reminds the world of past crashes, their revenue and reputation takes a hit. And no amount of PR or statistics can completely erase a disaster that happened in plain view. What makes this ongoing panic particularly fascinating and troubling is the role of memory and media. Unlike mechanical faults that passengers forget once fixed, tragedies become stories embedded in collective consciousness. Every tweet, every news report, every documentary keeps the memory alive. And in aviation, where trust is everything, even a fully corrected system can feel unsafe simply because people remember the worst-case scenario. So what does that mean for passengers today? For families considering a flight to London, Sydney, or New York, it means anxiety isn't irrational. It's a natural human response. It's an echo of survival instincts that remind us to be cautious, even when the numbers say otherwise. And yet the world keeps flying. Airlines continue to operate the MAX, pilots continue to fly it safely, and statistically, incidents are now exceedingly rare. But perception is stubborn. Fear doesn't always obey facts. And in a world where social media amplifies every concern, every hesitant tweet, and every nervous TikTok clip about the MAX crash, the shadow of 2019 refuses to lift. Experts in aviation psychology warn that this lingering fear could reshape the industry in subtle ways. How airlines market planes, how pilots are trained, even how engineers design future aircraft. Safety now isn't just about the mechanics of flight. It's about trust, perception and emotional reassurance. And this is why, even in 2026, the Boeing 737 MAX still causes a quiet panic. Not because it's unsafe, not because pilots are reckless, but because human beings carry memory, emotion, and instinct into the cabin every time they buckle their seatbelts. The question now is, can Boeing ever fully move past this shadow? The truth is complicated. They've invested billions into redesigns, pilot training programs, and regulatory compliance. Airlines have adopted stringent safety checks, and aviation authorities like the FAA and EASA continue to monitor every flight, every sensor, every line of code. On paper, the 737 MAX is safer than ever. Yet trust, once broken, is not easily rebuilt. Even today in airports across the US, UK, and Australia, passengers glance at flight boards, hesitate, sometimes even cancel. A plane isn't just a machine, it's a symbol of control and confidence. When that symbol cracks, the effect is emotional as much as it is technical. Some travelers have found coping mechanisms. They check safety ratings, read pilot reviews, or even choose seats near the wing, believing it's safer. Others avoid the MAX entirely, opting for older models or different carriers. It's a subtle rebellion against fear, a way to reclaim a sense of safety in an unpredictable world. Interestingly, this phenomenon has caught the attention of aviation psychologists and industry analysts. Studies now show that recovery from a public aviation disaster isn't purely a matter of engineering. It's about managing perception, communication, and empathy. Boeing learned this the hard way. A technical fix alone could never erase the emotional trauma left in the wake of 346 lost lives. And the emotional story doesn't end with passengers. Families of victims, even years later, continue to demand accountability and transparency. Survivors and pilots carry what experts call scarred confidence, an awareness that even the most sophisticated machines are vulnerable. And in a world obsessed with instant news and viral video, those stories never fade. They are constantly replayed, reshaping public sentiment one headline at a time. For the aviation industry, this lingering fear has real consequences. Airlines must market flights carefully, emphasizing safety without sounding defensive. Training programs now include not only technical skills, but also psychological preparedness for pilots. Engineers are designing systems with redundancies and fail-safes that acknowledge human instinct as much as physics. In short, the MAX crisis has fundamentally changed how aircraft safety is approached, both in the cockpit and in the cabin. But let's be honest, fear is not irrational. Human intuition evolved to respond to danger long before we had statistics, flight manuals, or sensors. And when people have witnessed, or even just read about, a catastrophic failure, that memory embeds itself. The MAX is more than a plane. It's a reminder that technology, no matter how advanced, can fail. And that reminder doesn't disappear just because engineers say it's safe. So what does the future hold? Will travelers ever fully shake off the shadow of the 737 MAX? Perhaps, but it will take time. Recovery isn't just measured in flight hours or software updates. It's measured in trust rebuilt, one passenger, one pilot, one story at a time. In the meantime, every flight of the 737 MAX is a test of that trust. Airlines, regulators, and engineers have done their part. Now it's up to the public to reconcile memory with reality, fear with facts. Some will embrace it, others will continue to hesitate. And that's okay, because acknowledging fear is part of what makes us human. In a way, the story of the MAX is also a story of resilience, of an industry that faced an unprecedented crisis and worked tirelessly to correct it, of families who demanded justice, pilots who adapted to new protocols, and engineers who reimagined safety from the ground up. It's a reminder that even in the aftermath of tragedy, progress is possible. And while panic may linger, so does hope. Every flight that lands safely is a step toward healing. Every transparent safety report builds trust. And every story of passengers overcoming fear is proof that human courage can rise above trauma, even at 35,000 feet. So the next time you book a flight on a 737 MAX, remember this. The plane you see is not the same as the one that made headlines years ago. It's the product of lessons learned, of systems overhauled, of lives that demanded change. Fear may whisper, but knowledge, preparation, and experience have the final word. If this story resonated with you, if it made you think about fear, trust, or resilience, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. There's more to aviation than headlines, more to safety than statistics, and more to the human story than anyone realizes. Thanks for watching, and next time you board a plane, take a deep breath. You're not just on a machine. You're part of a story of recovery, innovation, and the courage to face the skies.